Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody.
What's up?
Welcome to the 195th Recovery Freedom Rising podcast.
Crazy.
I'm Milan Starcic with co-host Andrew Norman. I'd like to just announce again, we've officially passed 6,000 downloads, and I want to thank everybody out there who's been a follower, a subscriber, come in as a guest.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank my main man, And, here for, his dedication. Gosh, I bet you've been on 100 of those 195th episodes.
Something like that.
Yeah, and
Getting comfortable over here.
it certainly has given us a chance to become family here in the last year.
Big time. We're really close, man.
Yeah, and so today's topic is integrity and bringing unity to ourselves. Would you share what this means to you, my main man, and why you're happy to discuss this here today?
I would love to, man. Good to see you. Yeah, welcome everybody. If you're listening in, if you listen to one of these things, thank you. And thank you for being here. And we love you. This has really been a fun ride, Milan. I can't believe we're almost at 200 episodes. It tickles me pink. I'm like tickled whenever you say that.
I'm stoked.
I don't even know. I feel like we just did the 100th episode. I feel like I was just talking in that 100th episode. I remember talking in that 100th episode. It's wild. I remember what I was wearing. And it's just wild. But you're a magical dude. It's so nice to be such good friends with you, man. It's been a beautiful ride. But I love you.
Yeah.
And unity, integrity. This is going to be a really good one. I want to talk about before I got here, and actually bleeding into when I got here. I used to live in fragments almost. When I really thought about it, I was one person in meetings. Before I got here. I thought, yes, right. I thought integrity meant just to be a good person and get along with people. And I really didn't realize that all that stuff starts within, right? Like the integrity and the unity has to be built from the inside of me first before it can ever show up on the outside and make any kind of impact outwardly with that. And so, like I was saying, I used to live in fragments. I was one person in meetings. I was one person when I would be with my family. I'd be a different person. When I was using, I was a completely different person. And then I was a different person when I was trying to get clean. I was all these fragments of a person, and I was never whole. And so when I really started thinking about, integrity and having that unity with oneself. It's really a core aspect of what we have to do here if we really want to stay clean long term. When I was living fragmented like that, there was no unity, right? Everything was never really had an identity. It was just survival. We talk about that survival mode that we're in for a long time. We talk about it all the time, but it was like a spiritual split, right? In who I was and who I wanted to be. It was everywhere I went. I was trying to either be who I wanted to be in that situation, thinking I was one way, but I wasn't, right? It just, and it all comes down to I was using a lot of drugs. I was doing the wrong things for so long that all those things had built on each other for me to get to a point where I couldn't even recognize it anymore. It wasn't even recognizable to me anymore. And then on top of that, I didn't care. You get to a point where it's like you just don't care, and so now come full circle, right? Like integrity means alignment to me. It's alignment between what I believe, what I say, and what I do. There has to be an alignment there. Does my shoes match my walk? Does the audio match the visual, right? It's that invisible thread that keeps my spirit from tearing apart, man. Like it's about being whole, not perfect. And it's about showing up. It's about living in such a way that when I go to sleep at night, Milan, I can put my head on that pillow, right? And I'm not at war with myself anymore. I used to dread that pillow. But I was running from that pillow. because that's when it starts, right? When we hit that pillow, when we're finally resting, that's when my brain activates. And it feels like when I'm trying to rest, or when I was in that spot before, that would give my brain an opportunity to start eating me alive, man. We all have our own demons. Um, and that's what's so beautiful about this program is there's a way to access those demons, um, and revisit them and do a little work around them, and come out on the other side of this thing, acting a different way, being a different person, and you can get all these things back that we lose. We think that we can't get these things back, and you can have all that back and more. Like whatever you need, whatever you want in your life, you can have, man. If you just if you kind of come in here, adhere to these things, work these steps, right? It's very simple. It's very simple. It's really complicated, but it's very, very simple. Work the steps, come to meetings, get in service, like do these things that we talk about and hit on constantly that we can't stay away from just because it's what's kept us clean. It's what we see keep those people clean that stay long-term clean for a long time, man. 37, 8 years. JJ coming in here needs to be right where we're at. That's why I know I'm in the right spot, dude. I know I'm doing the right shit, because that man shows me that I'm doing the right stuff. So I'll pass that to you. This is gonna open. This is gonna
Ooh,
be real good, man. I got a little spicy, but yeah, man, this is a big one.
yeah.
Integrity, man.
Ooh, integrity and bringing unity to ourselves, and I think really integrity is bringing unity to ourselves, and I like that how you said that you can't begin to bring unity out to the group until you got it within yourself. And I think of it like, how there's like all those apps where you can do different stuff with your face, and it's like almost there's ones where that makes like different colored tiles of your face.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was me before coming into the program, where it was like Michelle used to know who I was talking to on the phone by which Milan I was pretending to be. Like literally that, it was a joke. Oh, I know who you were talking to there. Like, and right down to the person. Like I had all these personas,
Yeah.
and it was because I was catering to them instead of actually, bringing harmony between who I was, what I believe, and how I feel, like how I lived, right? And really, integrity is the bridge we build between our intention and our actions. And it's like, they say that practice principles in all our affairs, it's our spiritual ideals and our daily conduct starting to match. Are we going to be perfect? No,
No.
but it's not asking for that. But it is asking for the intention, and for us to have a willingness to go
Mm-hmm.
in that direction, because without that, we're literally cutting ourselves off from our higher power in the universe and just saying, yeah, we're not changing. And
Yeah.
guess what? If nothing changes, then we
It's
stay the
changing.
same addict that we were, right? And we don't grow into these new people. The Living Clean teaches that integrity is born when we stop living divided lives. No more masks, no more pretending. And I like that because really for me, it's exactly what I was just talking about. One of the exercises we did inside treatment was to paint these masks representing all these different faces that we used to put on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so confused. I was like, what, what faces am I putting on and what's real anymore?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, man.
I still feel like I'm an adolescent learning how to like integrity is not something I'm trying to get back. It's something that I'm trying to get for the first time in my life. My childhood was not conducive to me showing my emotions. It was not conducive to the very religion I was getting raised in. I became a liar because I didn't want to be a sinner. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
um, it was not an all loving concept inside that religion. You don't cry if you're a boy.
Give you
Learning to
something to cry about.
suppress. Yeah, exactly. I'll give you something to cry about, and just like how it just made me a perpetual people pleaser. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
and so the AA Big Book reminds us that rigorous honesty, not perfection,
Ooh,
a willingness to align our outer life with our inner truth. And and that unity comes when we start to surrender those illusions to and ego, start like when we start to surrender those things, and surrenders opens that space for truth, because that's where our tolerance and our acceptance and our love comes. We
yep.
The 12 by 12 says, we began to see that faith meant trust that our higher power would do for us what we could not do for ourselves. And there's a trust that comes about when we start acting with unity, that we are enough,
Man,
that we don't have
finally.
to be finally, and and so through surrender and the practice of loving completely, coming back to that complete love, right?
Surrender. Yep, the
Ourselves
complete
and
love.
others, like loving ourselves completely and others, our inner fractures start to heal. And integrity is not about being flawless, it's about being whole.
Yes. Yes.
And we're gonna
Love
jump
that.
into the questions. This is going to be a great one. I think it's work in progress for every single person I've met in my life.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
man.
that's the beauty of it, though, is that um, the very act of growing to integrity is also bringing that love for ourselves and for others, even though the imperfections are there.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. And you brought up some things just before I touch on
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
You said you hit on rigorous honesty. Man, that's my new thing, man. Rigorous honesty. And then we talked about in the beginning, like we can't give out that integrity if we don't have it. It comes back to that notion that we cannot give anything away if we don't have it.
yeah.
We can't give it away if we don't have it. Right? You gotta have it first.
We're giving a lie
Gotta have it
away.
first.
We're
And
giving a lie away if
man,
we do. Like, that's
it's
the
rough.
thing.
And the roll down effects from that, right, can be catastrophic, right? So I want to give a shout out to Miss Sydney's 2 years today. Miss
Whoa,
Sydney is
whoa,
two
whoa,
years
Sydney!
today. I want to
Happy
give a
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
Sydney.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
Miss
Miss
Sydney.
Sydney. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to you.
you.
And
Gotta get.
many more.
Yes, love you, girl. So proud of you.
Congratulations,
So
sister.
proud of you. So proud of you. We were in our meeting last night. We broke to midnight with her, and then she's just having a hell of a day today. Because when one celebrates, we all celebrate. Milan, you already know what time
Yeah,
it is. We
yeah,
love you, Sydney, here on this podcast. We love you. All right, cool.
absolutely.
So I'm gonna ask you the question.
Yeah, you can start them up.
Oh my, your new name for me is Mylanta. Oh Mylanta,
My
Mylanta.
Lanta. I don't even know
um,
what that is.
It's actually I'm not. It's actually it's like a pharmaceutical product for like someone who has bad bowels, but that's not why I said that. It's just the way it's like, oh my Lanta. There's a funny commercial in here in the States that like is like, oh my Lanta.
Oh, my Lanta.
So what does that's funny. It's so funny where we can get on this thing. So what does integrity look like for you in your daily life, Milan? Like how does it show up for you in your daily life today? Let us in.
You know, First of all, my integrity shows up for me right in the morning of doing my program every day, like actually calling it my program and it being my program. Like
Mhm.
that, like it shows up right in those very first moments. It shows up in me searching for what I'm grateful for, because I want to grow inside this program. And the way that I grow away from those resentments and those shortcomings partly is to remain grateful. That's one part of it. My the next step in my day that it shows up is during my two-way prayer. I'm looking back at yesterday. I'm seeing where did I start with intention and where did I act it out. And I'm not scolding myself. I'm not scolding myself. I know where my weaknesses are now. Like, anybody out there who thinks they could tell me more bad things about me than me just has no frickin' clue. Like, but I look back on what I wrote yesterday, and then I look back at and I look at what is coming today and the things that I have to do, and then I tailor my question with the universe, and and I sit back and I try to have the integrity of actually trying to listen and to explore that. The integrity comes from me wanting to treat myself better and sleeping more. I started tracking my sleep, and I'm actually doing way better than I thought, which is to me
Wow.
like, it makes me happy to actually know that sleep is functioning in my life. I'm sticking, with my exercise regime in order to have integrity about loving myself. I definitely, I feel like I eat really good, but I feel like I could eat better. There's some things that I could eliminate for
All
myself.
of us. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? But I also practice compassion with myself to think of how much better I am than I was. Um, the integrity comes from trying to be where I say I'm going to be when I say I'm going to be there. And when I can't, trying to preemptively let people know. Like this podcast is getting recorded delayed today. And it was a hard thing yesterday for shifting both Andrew and I's thing. And you know what? Andrew acted with compassion and integrity by being flexible to make this happen today, folks. Like
Love it.
behind the scenes, integrity is having compassion for those you're being around. And today it required his day being shifted because of a blood work thing that has nothing to do with him.
Lucky,
And
man.
you know, um and then the integrity is today, I want to be of service. After I go to my meeting right after this, I have a trailer full of somebody's stuff in the program who just celebrated their first year at the age of 66. And
Come
I,
on.
I, I got his stuff in my in
What's his
my
name?
trailer. Randy, shout out to Uncle
Come on,
Randall.
Randy. Let's
Yeah.
go. Proud
And
of you,
uh,
young man.
and so and so I'm spending my afternoon in service helping Randy move his stuff
Hell
in.
yeah.
You
Hell
know,
yeah.
the integrity is my family's helpful. My wife doesn't even know Randy, and she's coming to help him move his stuff. You
Beautiful.
know,
That's so cool.
and uh, I think I've listed a bunch of stuff there, but really, what it is for me, it's about like I have these spiritual goals, that we'll call principles, and it's about how do I implement them in my day, and if I'm not right, how do I learn to surrender them? How do I become entirely ready for those things to be growing? Because if I don't become entirely ready, I can't surrender. I can't surrender something I don't know what it is.
Stop talking about my favorite thing, surrender, right now. Stop talking about that.
Woo!
Stop talking on
I
that,
mean, a
man.
surrender burger for lunch.
Ooh, I eat all these little sizzle pans of surrender, like little bacon strips, little sizzle pans. Surrender. It's crazy. All right, cool. So I'm going to answer this question.
Yeah.
So what does integrity look like in my daily life, in my daily routine? I'm going to let y'all in a little bit. So, um, integrity is not just a word, right? It's a way of living for me today. Um, it's that quiet, steady presence of my spirit being aligned, right? With everything I do, and as I move forward, I'm continuing that good feel into that next spiritual decision. Whatever I'm doing through the day, I try to stay with that momentum. It's kind of spiritual momentum is how I think about it, right? So, um, and it's about doing it even when nobody, like, especially when nobody's looking. And we've been hitting on this a lot lately. Like, it's especially and even when nobody else will know, because God always is watching, right? And my soul, my spirit feels every decision that I make, right? Integrity has become tied, like the thread that ties my action to my values, right? It ties my words to my truth. Integrity ties my recovery to my spirit, right? When I first came here, I didn't understand that. Like, I didn't understand any of that. I thought it was about appearing good, being honest when it was convenient, not getting caught doing something wrong. Like, that's where I was, right? I think a lot of us come here that way. But recovery's taught me integrity is so much deeper than behavior, man. Integrity is so much deeper than what you do. It's about your intention, right? It's about your consistency. It's about, are you showing up authentic every time? Like spiritual authenticity. Ooh, where'd that come from?
Ooh.
Spiritual authenticity, right? That's what integrity to me is. It's about it's about the person I am when nobody's watching, man. It's about the person. It's the choices I make when there's no reward or recognition for me doing anything for that. Am I still going to do it? That's integrity in it. Like in my daily life, in the big decisions, my small decisions, in my acting, that's the same way. Regardless of if I'm going to get $100,000 for doing this, or I'm going to get, you know, nothing. Right? It's about doing the right thing regardless, because that's going to in turn allow me to put my head on my pillow and have that smile on my face and know I'm going to wake up the man I want to be the next day. And that's big for me. And that's big for me, Um, integrity shows up to me in really the smallest of ways, especially, right? Because whether I show up, and it's really about showing up on time, little things, showing up on time to these podcasts, showing up on time to a meeting. If I say I'm going to be somewhere, if I'm going to be of service, being there. If I have a meeting with my sponsor, I'm going to be there. All right. We don't have to go looking for Andrew on those times. It's how I treat the newcomer in the meeting, how I speak to them, how I speak about people when they're not in the room. Think about that. So a lot of people can run their mouths, right? And it's about how you talk about people. And you shouldn't be talking about people, but when you do, you shouldn't be. Bro, it's about how you talk about them, because then what, are they going to come in the room and you're just going to do a complete 180? Like, hey, Cindy, how you doing? And you just been.
I'm telling Cindy you were talking about it.
I don't even know a Cindy. That's why I said I have an aunt Cindy. That's why I said a name that I didn't even know. That's just you get what I'm saying, right? And so it's about me, my practice daily of living those principles, right? Am I true to my principles? There was this time when I used to say things just to kind of get the situation off my plate, and then I would just run and hide, right? Like, I hope it would go away. That was the dude I was. Today, like when I say yes, it means like yeah, I'm gonna be there. Right? When I say no, it means no. Like, no is a complete answer, and that's integrity too. You don't have to say yes to everybody's asking of you. That doesn't mean integrity. Just saying yes to everything and doing it, that has nothing to do with integrity. When you say no and you draw boundaries, that's part of your integrity. Because this whole thing comes around to, like, ultimately it's about being serviceable to other people and staying clean. Gotta stay clean. Staying clean must come first. So part of my daily part of the integrity part is about owning my mistakes too, because I could make a lot of mistakes on a daily basis from sun up to sundown. I'm gonna make at least a few to maybe many mistakes. It's about owning them, like, immediately, and not letting them pile up on the back of my in the back of my head, and because that can get tricky too. So recovery doesn't make me perfect. It's never going to make me perfect. I'm not working to be perfect. Yeah, it's great to be trying to do the right things all the time, which it depends on your definition of perfection, right? So it's all relative. But, like, if you need to be going towards that perfect place, but you're never going to be perfect. Whatever you need to do to act integral, right, which is like the root word of integrity. We don't have to justify our actions and stuff anymore when you're doing the right thing. You don't got to justify stuff or make excuses when you're doing the right shit all the time. So that's kind of where I'm at. Awareness keeps me accountable, man. So, love you.
Are you ready for a question?
Born ready.
Living Clean teaches that unity begins when we stop compartmentalizing our spiritual lives from our daily lives. How do you bring spiritual principles into the smallest, most ordinary parts of your day? In the
Wow.
smallest, most ordinary parts of your day.
Wow. Well, I don't pretend anymore, man. I don't pretend to be fine when I'm not. It's about owning where I'm at all times. If I'm feeling bad, if I'm feeling negative towards the situation, I'll let it be known to the people around me that I need to. And if not, I move past it. I move through it, man. I'm strong enough to understand that some things are gonna affect me and the people around me, and then if they don't, I'm not gonna put too much stock into it. But all these good feelings spiritually, and all this tension this tension going away from my spiritual side of me, like it all feels good, and all that stuff feels good, man. I roll with it, man, and I don't know how else to put it into words, man. It's like it's this roll downhill of good feelings, because I'm always trying to stay there. I'm always trying to stay in that spiritual lane. Like when I meet people outside of the rooms that are really, really upbeat and just have a nature to them, it's spiritual to me, man. That's like a spiritual um thing that they're doing for me. Like it becomes spiritual for me, and I want to in turn act like those people, and that's how I stay upbeat and happy regardless of the situation, right? Because I'm spiritual, right? Like I can find the love in any situation, man. That's my thing. I will find the love in any situation, even if I don't love it. I'll find a way to incorporate it into our conversation and make it a loving conversation, right? If anything, with humor, maybe even I'll throw some humor in there, not nasty humor, but just humor to make people laugh, because laughter is love, right? If I can't get along with somebody, I make them laugh. Um, that's how, in the littlest of things, man. Because when you treat somebody right, like the next time you see them, they're gonna remember that. I used to treat people or act like an asshole, and then people would see me the next time, and I'd be in a better mood, and then I'd be like, "Hey, man, what's up?" And I acted like an asshole last time, so they're not gonna be like, "What's up, man? Like, what's up? Like, remember how you treated me like a dick last time?" Like, I run into that where
We
I'm,
love you, Dickie boy.
and then my brain flashes to how I acted last time I was with them, and it messes with me. So I try not to be there anymore. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but that's my answer. It's quick and easy. Love you,
I
man.
love that. Well, yeah, living clean teaches that unity begins when we stop compartmentalizing our lives from our spiritual lives from our daily lives. How do I bring spiritual principles into the smallest, most ordinary parts of the
Meow.
day? You know, I would say that, first of all, one of my biggest methods now is that two-way prayer, because I'm actually kind of doing this, question to my higher power about bringing these things like love and completely surrender, which, anybody out there who doesn't know, I truly believe that all the other principles are contained in loving completely.
We
So,
we
so,
believe.
okay, and so it, it adds a greater or shorter yardstick for me to put things up against. I'm not trying to say, is it all 52 of these principles, right? I'm trying to see, is my action honest, pure, unselfish, and loving? And and if I'm doing those four things with what I'm saying, what I'm doing, then I'm probably um, acting in alignment with the spiritual principles.
Hmm.
And like it's it's whether I'm patient with my dog on a walk, even if
Ooh,
it's a busy day.
ooh.
Like it is like seeing that something is going to take more time for somebody else, and making sure that I don't overfill my day to bring anger into it. You know,
Mhm.
it's it's about doing like a regular inventory on myself, and because without awareness I won't see, like I'll put blinders on to things, thinking like something is a boundary that's just me, like finding an excuse to having a resentment. And so it takes me looking at it, it takes that desire, like I have to, what I've learned for myself is I really have to see where I'm being defective and acting out in shortcomings from all the angles. Like I cannot, now I'm going to say it correctly. It's step 6, said step 7 on the other podcast. Now I feel like everyone out there is like, he don't know shit, man.
He don't know nothing.
Yeah,
That nigga wrote no
anyway,
damn steps.
but the thing is I will not be entirely ready unless I'm entirely aware of what I'm trying to surrender. And I think that that is fundamentally so important. It's like, I want to be better. I want to be better. Like, of course I want to be better.
I want
But
to
if
be
I don't know
gooder.
how I want to be better, then I don't know what is mine to improve on and what's my higher powers to help me surrender with.
Yeah,
Like,
what we doing?
I just don't, like, I'm swimming aimlessly without an actual vision of the growth that I need. And I think that that's one of the really important parts of the inventory. And also too, the amends process, right? Like if I'm seeing where I'm still feeling something in the amends process, that can highlight to me what really I didn't surrender inside my inventory process. Like it's almost like a double take. It's like, hey, you think you're clear? You're still feeling this.
Oh, psych, psych.
Yeah. It's like,
Mm,
no, you're still holding on.
that's what you thought.
And you know, so I think for me, it's it's about trying to remain aware. It's about trying to see and trying to learn what it is I want to grow into. Like, you know, um, and honestly, it's about learning to love completely. I can bring these spiritual principles into the itty bittiest tiniest part of my life if I love completely. Because if I'm loving completely, that love light is going to shine so bright, it's going into the darkest corners of my life.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I got a little STEM question off of
Yeah.
that. When you talk about loving completely, and then we talk about having no records of wrongs, right?
Yeah.
I started thinking about, we can obviously lay it out when we talk about keeping a record of wrongs with other people. What about when we keep a record of wrongs with ourselves? That's real tough.
And that
Real.
stems from not loving ourselves completely, and that's really a branch off of the lack of self-forgiveness.
Very true. Very true. It's
Yeah.
something that I want to talk more about because who's the judge and jury here? Like who comes into play when you're being out of line with that part of it, keeping record. Like how do you know when you're keeping those records wrong? Sometimes you can be so deceitful to
I think when
yourself,
we're beating ourselves up at all for stuff,
and it's
you
about having
know,
people around us that notice that shit too.
yes, it is, but I think we're such masters at deception that, you
Absolutely.
know, there's like a little negative self-talk that it's just like, I'm not going to be like, hey, Andrew, guess what my brain said to me an hour ago?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It just kind of goes in and out. You let it fly out the vent. Yeah, yeah. I got you.
Well, or I'm just like, I'm aware of it and I'm like, okay, that's something I need to work on, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or need to go to a meeting, talk about it a little bit more till it goes away.
Yeah.
Take the pain,
Yeah.
take the power out of it. That's right.
And often when I can bring that to an awareness, it's almost like
Ooh,
that person
awareness.
shows up at a meeting and shares right on what I was thinking about, you
Beautiful
know?
point.
Yeah.
Beautiful point. You ready for my question?
I am ready.
How has a lack of integrity affected past relationships for you?
Oh, it's done nothing but hurt people. You know,
Tell us a little
first
bit
of
about that.
all, first of all, like lies. You know, lies pulled the rug right out of people who felt like they had love and security in moments of their life where me acting without integrity hurt them, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and you know, either made them either fear that our relationship was nothing or that they were worth less to me, or, you know, like the list goes on with that one. But also, you know, there's also like the passive aggressive side to that, and I swear, like, there's a lot of people who say I don't do that, but I honestly haven't met a person who doesn't, where people like, oh, that's okay, and meanwhile there's a resentment happening. And from my side, it's like, you know, there's a lack of intolerance, or tolerance, a lack of acceptance happening for somebody else, and I'm zipping my mouth, so then it turns into dishonest behavior on my part, which is really a lack of integrity. If I say it's fine and it's not fine, like right there,
I'm
I'm I
good.
I am now dividing myself to be conquered by my defects and by addiction. You know, like the whole reason that I think integrity is so important and bringing unity to ourselves is because it's the only way we can be living right here, right now. And it's the only way we experience that conscious contact. It's the only way we enter into a state of serenity, of joy, of bliss, like of where the magic is happening, where I start to have a bulletproof vest against my own problems, you know, and because if I'm not acting in integrity with others, okay, let's take for the example lies. Now every moment I'm searching about what I have to talk to Andrew about, because what if I slip up and Andrew hears something he shouldn't have heard because of a previous lie, and so boom, I'm trapped in the
Mm.
past, and the other half of me is future catastrophizing because what if he finds out? What if he finds out? What if I don't do this right? You know, and there's nothing left for Andrew right now.
Mm-mm.
And then what happens? Every time Andrew sees me, he's like, He seems kind of anxious and kind of like disconnected from me. And what does that do? That damages our relationship. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing if I'm not communicating when I'm being hurt or when something is not okay for me and I'm just glossing it over with a people pleaser situation, or like then, Andrew looks at me and he's like, everything's fine with Milan. And meanwhile, I'm like, I want to throttle that guy, man.
Mm,
Like, and where am I? I'm living in the past of where he hurt me, and I'm
mm,
also future murdering in my mind.
mm,
And
mm,
so, like, if I'm not here right now, man, there's no integrity. Like
mm.
my spirit, my mind, and my body all have to be in the same moment, and
Yeah.
without that, it's just a disaster for what I deliver to other people,
Yeah, man.
and that's
Yeah.
it for me.
That's beautiful, man.
Mm.
I love you, man. I love you
I
so
love it too.
much. So how did a lack of integrity affect my past relationships and what that kind of looked like? Um, when I look back at my relationships, there was kind of a common thread amongst all of them, and that was a lack of integrity. As I look back at it, like that was the exact thing that they all had in common was a lack of integrity. Um, I used to feel like love and friendship and loyalty meant something different. I thought like if I said the right things or played the right part and avoided conflict most of the time, then I was doing my best. But that was just an illusion, man. That was kind of an illusion, built on arrangements almost, not relationships, arrangements. And so integrity was missing. Why? Because I was missing. We talked about it at the beginning of this podcast. Like we talked about how I talked about how fragmented I was, how sectioned off I was everywhere I went. Right, I was never the whole me. I was never me. I was never showing up as Andrew. I didn't know who Andrew was. I wasn't honest. Because I wasn't there. Right, I wasn't aligned with who I was, and so I was showing up people a version of like who I thought they wanted me to be. And that is a really bad spot for an addict to be, because it's like designed for manipulation, right, and control, and it begs for acceptance. Every time I did that, like I felt myself farther away from who the actual person, who the actual Andrew really is. And so as you start cleaning out, as I started thawing out, getting all these drugs out of my system and becoming that person again, like these are all things I've got to incorporate into my life. I have to incorporate this new way of doing things, man, because I've worked some steps. I've done some work on myself. Now what am I going to do about it? How am I going to act? Like, am I going to actually put this stuff into motion, or just sit here and talk about it, man? It's a lot. I mean, you can run our mouths all day. And if you can inspire people by running your mouth and all shit, great. Great. But when you can actually physically help like really help people throughout the day, like, and not just run your mouth and be a source of inspiration because you have a good gift of gab, like it changed things for me. When I can physically touch somebody and help them, go drop off quarters to that guy, because I knew when I was in that detox, like I needed quarters and nobody had quarters, and that's the only way I'm gonna get a drink. Like I do that. Um, and I don't care if anybody knows. I don't care because it makes me feel so good. Like when I get calls from their family, like it makes me feel like it makes me want to cry right now thinking about it, because I need more opportunities to do stuff like that, because it makes me whole, man. I've been void of for so long. These feelings that I'm having right now, never I like 20 plus years. I haven't had them. Haven't been able to. But I would tell you I'm having all these feelings. I would act like I'm feeling good or whatever, but there was no substance to it. It was just who I like, what mood I was in that day, and like I was never a whole person, man. It's so beautiful now. I can come to the table like an actual authentic me, like a full me. My word didn't mean shit back in the day, man. My word was nothing sauce, man. I would make promises
Nothing
that,
sauce.
bro. I would make promises that I knew I had no ability to keep. Bro, I would say like I love you and still act like a dick. and act selfish, right? And you know, I would swear I was changing, but like I would still repeat the same behavior. That's not that is the lack of integrity that I used to live with, man. So I can't be there anymore. Or I'm not going to gain all these things. I'm not going to be able to hang out with people like that I want to be around today, like the Milans of the world. Man, I love the people I'm around today. Man, my new family that I built solely off love, not off blood, like it's everything for me, and it gives me hope every day. And I'm never alone. Like I never feel alone, man. I don't care how far off in the wilderness I'm at. I never feel alone. I got people that love me all over the fucking world, man. It's crazy to me. Like I could probably go in any country in the world. Not every country, but you know what I mean. And I know somebody that would just be like, "Bro, please come stay here."
Dude, last month this podcast was played in 25 countries.
Holy shit, man!
Can you believe that?
That's crazy, dude. That's wild.
Uzbekistan, we had a viewing.
We love y'all. We love y'all, man. Hell yeah. So yeah, man, it's being able to turn, flip the script, and now, my shoes do match my walk, man. I'm not just showing up as this cloud of a person with no insides, man. I'm a whole person, man. It's a beautiful thing, for being able to have intimacy with another human being. Not because we're having sex, right? But because we care about each other, man, and we want to see each other make it. Nobody needs to go out of this world without knowing who they were first. No one needs to go out of this world anyways. But if you find out who you are fully, completely, and you still want to go out of this world, then, bro, there's nothing we can do about that. We've done what we can, but that's not going to happen most of the time, because we're all beautiful people, man. If you tap into that true soul, like who you are, like you can go on living the way you wanted to all along, and so today you can count on me. You can count on me to answer that phone in the middle of the night because I always do. I'm a man of my word today. And if you aren't, when you aren't, words don't mean anything. So you're done. So I'll stop running my mouth because I know you're going to ask me a question.
I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Surrender is not weakness. It is the sacred alignment of will with truth. How has surrender strengthened rather than diminished your sense of self? How has surrender strengthened rather than diminished your sense of self?
Wow. Wow. Because so I have a lot of problems. I got issues. Let's just start there. I got a lot of issues. I thought I had to fix all those issues. Like I thought my job as a person was to fix all these issues to become this perfect model of a person that I thought I wanted to be. And that's not the case. Um, I am a human being and I'm going to have good traits, bad traits, and there's going to be things that I do well, things that I don't do well. And I've learned in this process of surrender, man. This is not a self-improvement program. This is a program of surrender. Tom Smith, I love you. Changed my life.
God
my
damn, I love that
my
man.
my the problems on my plate literally went from, like, let's say if there's 100, went down to 50 when after that podcast.
5 for me. Like,
I'm still working to get there, but I have been able to surrender this vast amount of things that I thought I was going to always have to work on. Man, I thought I was going to always have to be in these little areas with these things that I did not like to think about or do, or I wasn't good at, whatever it is, man. I can surrender it, right? Step 1, 2, and 3. I can surrender, identify the problem, and turn it over. If I can do something about it, I will. If not, I turn that bitch over. I surrender that shit, and then I'm good, man. I'm so I have trimmed the fat, and it has been a way where I have literally trimmed the fat of my spiritual condition. I'm more streamlined spiritually because I've been able to recognize that bro, I'm not going to manipulate what God has going on here. And I have to understand that my God has made it possible for me to be here right now. And with that power, right, he can take the shit that I need him to take, right? Like I don't need to justify, I don't need to manage, control, or manipulate anything that I don't want to. And so if I can pray, stay tapped into him, and then pray for the willingness to do as he sees fit, if he sees fit that this were to happen for me, or me to be a part of this, then it will happen. And if not, I pray that shit away, man. I pray that shit away. And it might come back up later, but I can surrender the hell out of that shit again. You know what I mean? I can resurrender the resurrender of resurrender because it don't stop, man. Surrender, it's not as powerful as love, but it's close. So I love surrendering, and bro, I could lay and surrender all night if I wanted, if I could, if there was a bath of it, I'd bathe in it. I love you, man. I think I'm done.
Okie dokie. I
That was
loved
good.
that. That was great. Okay, surrender is not weakness. It is the sacred alignment of will with truth. Gosh, I like that. How has surrender strengthened rather than diminished my sense of self? You know, I think about it in so. I mean, I think about surrender a lot. Like, I mean, I've probably got a bit of a surrender addiction. I'll admit, I'm Milan. I'm a surrender
I'm
addict.
gonna turn you in.
I'm just trying to give
Need
it
a
all
surrender
away.
P test.
Yeah. But so the first thing that it does is it lets me remove the mask of who I think that I have to pretend to be in a moment. I could surrender to that moment and actually just let the moment go without me trying to manipulate it, you know, and falsely manipulate it like it's not really in my control anyway, or just surrendering my satisfaction or dissatisfaction of it, like surrender my pretense of who I was, right? And then also that surrender cuts all the puppet strings of who that people pleasing, who that insecure Milan is, that you won't love me if you really know me, you know? And so it makes it so that people are not the source of my discontentment, and they're also not the source of my contentment. That is the feeling inside me that grows from my serenity of not having to control the moment, like of that surrender in itself. Does that happen all the time, everybody? No. Who's kidding who? You know, but
No.
one thing I want to say is that it happens like 80% of the time, which is like such a greater ratio than where my life was at 8 months ago. It's just unbelievable. You know, it's also shown me like what my part is in this universe, and and so and it's lightened my load on what is not, you know, like trying to control everything. I thought like my sense of self was just almost constantly defined by that lack of surrender. You know, like how I felt throughout the day was the definition. People like, how are you? And I would start listing things that people were doing to piss me off. I would start a pity party. I would start like,
Now that you asked,
here's my blame list. You really want to know? You got 5 minutes? Like I
glad you
remember, I
asked.
remember one of my sayings used to be, "You got 5 minutes?" You know, and I would just start dropping the
Turns into
non-surrender
30.
bomb all over the place. And and guess what though? Like I didn't know who I was in that. Like even right now, um, the way that surrender has strengthened myself is that, you know, like I said earlier, it's like that serenity and joy and bliss is like a bulletproof vest in the moment where like myself is not defined by my surroundings, it's defined by my state of being. And as crazy as that sounds, it's like it is the magic sauce of growth in life, you know. Um, and how do you know, like how do I get to that state? I work hard at it, man. I try to rest. I try to eat the right foods. I try to exercise a lot because what I've learned for myself is that I'm like a hunting dog. Like you got to run me a certain amount, and then my brain can start to be like, okay, where's the bed? I'll lie
Then
down.
you're the best. Then you're the best at doing that shit. You get it.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
and so, but finally, I'm getting to know, you know, the loving, the relaxing, the surrendering, the self-nurturing, you know, like actually caring for me and making it a priority. Like I would sacrifice anything before for dollars or drugs. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like it was just like, whoa, like I don't care. And now
Mm-hmm.
I do care, you know? Now I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'll call you back in a couple hours. And
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the consequences of that, if it means that I'm doing something important in life. So, you know, I would say that really surrender is almost one of my only tools for starting to get to know myself, you know? And so it's strengthened my sense of self because it's given me myself back instead of how I was giving myself away inside that puppeteer. Like I refer to the puppeteer, but it really was. If you get to say something and it ruins my whole day, I am literally your puppet for the whole day, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, and you've moved on to a new play, and I'm still there, like, dun, 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 dun,
You're like, yo, is this
dun.
still good? Am I still dancing good over here? And you're like,
I'm like, I'm
I don't
still
even.
angry over here. Come back.
Yeah.
I want to blame
Like,
you.
like, bro, I ended that play a long time ago. I have
Yeah,
no idea what you're talking about.
yeah,
You ready for my question?
I am.
Cool, man. This kind of rolls into this question, so it's good. So, what does building unity with yourself look like in practical terms today, Milan?
Well, you know, in right now in my life, I'm inside this set of steps, and you know, so I'm really actually trying to learn how to become entirely ready with my defects, and so that unity building to me right now is excuse me, working on my level of awareness about things. And by awareness, I don't mean just um, I don't mean just that there's the existence of something, but what I mean is the ways that I act out that defect in a shortcoming, but also what the actual motivations or functions are behind the fears on that, so that I can actually, you know, really get a picture of who I am and why I'm acting a certain way. Because for me, that unity is only going to come when I've either, addressed certain behaviors to the best of my ability or I've surrendered them. And, and, um, and I think for myself, you know, other people might be able to do this with less awareness. And I'm hats off to you if that's really the life you get to live. But for me, what I'm seeing is that becoming entirely ready for me means fully understanding what it is that is happening here. Because like if I mislabel something, I think I could give part of it away and wonder why I'm still acting out in different parts of it in my life. And then that would be a lack of unity. So it's like getting a complete awareness, having a complete surrender, and having that complete intention to surrender. And then I feel like boom, you know, I'm having my own magical events that are just rapidly changing my understanding of the mechanisms inside this program, you know, and I think it's okay. Like, you know what? More will be revealed. More will be revealed to each of us when we're ready. And like, I could want to do a nice set of steps in a week, but um, I don't think that journey is ever going to end for me. I think every time I do a round of the steps, I'm going to have some level of epiphany on certain parts of it if I'm actually still growing, working, and man, I'll tell you, like one thing that I've loved about this podcast is we have a dialogue for going deeper on things. I don't ever just like see someone in the store and I'm like, perseverance. Hey, let's have a big conversation about perseverance. Like I was thinking about that the other day, and I'm like, man, we have some really amazing conversations about things that we would never randomly talk to somebody in a social
Like you got
situation.
it. Look like you got a lot of perseverance. Let's come over here and let's talk.
Yeah. So how
That's
does
funny.
perseverance affect your like, you know, like you're talking to someone?
You hold up a microphone to him like, "Hello,
Yeah.
come on."
Yeah.
It's funny.
Give it up.
I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
man.
no, I was done. I think that was my wrap up.
Okay, so you want me to answer?
Yeah.
So, what does building unity with myself look like in practical terms today? Hashtag LLA. Well, I'll tell you. Um, it starts off with surrender for me, man. When I wake up and I surrender to that higher power, to something a little bit greater than me, um, that starts everything off, because I used to struggle. Unity with myself doesn't come from perfection. It comes from acceptance. Like, I got to accept what's going on here. And part of that is I got to give that will up every morning. I gotta connect it to him. Um, and, and that kind of starts to bring all that scattered parts of my brain when I wake up into focus. It allows me to hone in on what I need. Right. I just get pumped up spiritually when I pray, when I tap in. It's really special to me when I pray. I pray every night with my girl, every night and every morning with my fiance. And it's a special process. When we don't do it, we both tend to yell at each other because we're both off during the day. So we don't miss it a lot. Right. So um, it starts with surrender. I try to practice awareness specifically throughout the day. I try to pay attention to how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking. In the past, I used to run from those emotions. I'm trying to tap into those emotions now. I used to run from, regardless of what comes up in the day, whatever hits my plate, whether it's anger, fear, shame, or even joy, right? I try to pause, acknowledge it, and I try to remain present in the moment, right? Before I make a decision on that situation. So, um, it's part of me letting go of control too, and another thing is me doing my step work honestly, being honest. And I pray every time before I start doing step work. We pray every time before I start doing step work with my sponsor. I really make sure that I tap into God before I start writing in that notebook. And I get rigorously honest. Talked about that earlier on in the podcast. That rigorous honest. It's one of my new waves lately, is just that rigorous honest piece. And if you're going to be rigorously honest in any place of your recovery, do it in the steps. Please. Please. You're doing surgery of the heart, soul, mind, everything, man. Just be tactful and be completely honest, because it'll allow you to have a good surgery. You'll come out of here without a bunch of scars on your face. You know, shows up in consistency, man. Because what happens when we don't practice consistency? What do we need to do, Milan?
Place your ass in the
Come
seat.
place ass in the seat. Come on, man. Consistency. It's built on. It's not on. Unity isn't built on occasional inspiration. It's built on daily practice. Every day. What are we gonna do? What are we doing today? Right? It's built on daily practice. I mean, showing up in my meetings, calling my sponsors, staying connected to y'all, right? And I live consistently with those spiritual principles that I've learned only as a result of working the steps, mind you. My actions start to match my words, and I become more of somebody that you can trust, that I'm going to show up that way every single time, and you might be able to, put a little trust in me to help you in your process. Right? That's what we do here. Attraction rather than promotion. Right? I've got to really make my actions reflect what's going on in my heart, because everything revolves around love for me, man. And love, the heart, love is the same thing, man. Everything we have going on right here is love. So another thing, and this is one that you're really tapping into now, Milan, is self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness. I was my own worst critic. Beat myself up for every mistake I wouldn't even make the mistake. I'd be beating myself up for it, because I didn't have some kind of control into it to fix. Like I was all wrapped up, carried guilt like a badge of shame, man. And that's what kept me spiritually divided, right? That's why I could never show up as a whole person. I was always whatever chameleon, whatever mask I needed to wear, because I was just beaten. I was broken. It was so much easier for me to throw a little layer over my face to become who I needed to be in that situation, take it off later, be miserable, right? And then throw on another little plastic mask to cover that face again. It was just a lot easier to do that than to look inward and go, okay, we got to do some work here. It's a lot easier to do that. And I fell prey to that, right? It's what my higher power ultimately needed me to get to be able to be right here, right now, right here, talking about how I've changed it and how I'm working on it and how I'm a work in progress every day, and how I have committed to living differently going forward. And you know, I, when I wasn't living with this integrity, I was in. That's what allowed me to live in such chaos. Like it would make for things to be so chaotic. That's why, as an addict, we don't know what peace is. We're addicted to chaos. We don't know what integrity is. Chaos is our middle name. So we find peace, we got to hold on to it. What does peace mean? Peace, what does it stand for? Positive energy always creates elevation, Milan. It always also stands for pray every day and cherish everything. It also stands for practicing empathy and conscious effort. Peace. Peace is beautiful, man. I need peace in my life. What is peace?
Pass the peace.
Peace. Peace. All right,
Pass
man,
the peace.
I'll pass it to you. I
Okie
think it's your
dokie.
question. Yep.
Yep. The 12 by 12 says we become one. Oh. The 12 by 12 says we become willing to make amends when humility replaces self righteousness. How does humility keep your relationships authentic and balanced today?
Well, so humility allows me to come to the table, not as the person that knows it all, right? I can come to the table and try to offer what I can as support for what I have in my experience, and then you can meet with your experience, and we can meet in the middle and help each other out, right? Like, it's not about me knowing everything. Humility allows me to, bro. If you're not a humble person, you're not going to have a lot of friends, if any. You know, if you're just not a humble person, if you cannot um, come to the table and with a little bit of humility, then there's not going to be anyone that's going to really want to hang out with you and really put some time and effort into you, right? The most humble people, you know, humility is not thinking of yourself less. It's thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. It's not thinking of less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. It's about what we can bring to the table, how we can help the situation, how we can help you. Because ultimately, if I help you, man, you're going to help me. You're going to want to help me. And that's how we build relationships. It's how I try to help build relationships, man. And, you know, part of that is I have to learn to trust myself again. And I had to do that because for years, my word didn't mean anything to myself, even. You know, how am I going to, how am I going to have you trust me if I don't even trust myself in my own words? And, because I would even tell myself I'd stop using it, and I wouldn't, right? I'm going to stop using tomorrow or next day. And then I wouldn't. But looking back at it, man, I was very sick. You know, I needed that earth shattering thing to happen, or chain of events to happen for me to find these rooms and find God ultimately, because I wasn't gonna stop using drugs until I found Him, man. I don't think there's anything that was gonna keep me from using. And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm totally cool with that. And so today I'm aligned with my spirit and not my ego. Right, my ego is not going to get in there and try and take me off the path of my spirit. Sometimes it does, right? But then again, there I have a program. I got people, all my people, man. Y'all let me know when I'm getting off track. And so I stay tapped in. The more I talk to y'all, the more I can let y'all into me. The more I can let you know when I'm off track, that y'all can help me. So, um, my ego's not always telling me I got something to prove today, man. And that's a beautiful thing. You know, on a spiritual level, I'm bringing God into all parts of my life and trying to remove me from the situation as much as possible. And it has transformed my life, man. You know, and unity isn't about feeling good all the time. You know, it's about just sitting still when the emotions pull you in all these different directions and trusting. Like, I don't have to act on every feeling. You know, I got to learn to coexist with my humanity and my spirituality and my strengths and my shortcomings. I got to be aligned with all of that to be able to show up whole. So hope that made sense. I don't know if it did.
I think it was amazing. I loved it. Okie dokie.
I
So the
love you, man.
12 and 12 says we become willing to make amends when humility replaces self righteousness. How does humility keep my relationships authentic and balanced today? You know, I love what they're saying there about willing to make amends when humility replaces self righteousness, because
Mm-hmm.
really, self righteousness, you know,
That's cool.
like I literally felt like myself was always right, and I had a lot of chestnutness about it. So, like it was, I was a master at delusion of myself and blaming others, and so the beauty of the step work has brought an honesty and a humility to me that allows me to actually say, "Hey, that wasn't okay. That wasn't in line with what I want to be. That wasn't somebody I want to be around. That wasn't something I want done to you, let alone done to me. And, and I don't want that to be an okay part of relationships. So it boosts the authenticity in my relationships completely by bringing a level of honesty to it, and having the humility to say when it was me in a situation. I might not be able to say it right away, but I guarantee within an hour and a half, as proven on this podcast, I I come back. It eats me now. It eats me. And
Step
and ho-
10.
and how does that balance my relationships today? Is it makes it so that the scales of awesome or not awesome, I'm showing where I'm on that scale instead of just saying, "Oh, look at how heavy your side is because you're a jerk," and I'm just hurt and
Hmm.
I didn't do nothing. Like
Hiding the results, like looking
it,
at hiding the results,
it was
showing up.
amazing to me inside the step work to see like my part, and like there were some people around me that couldn't handle it, and I didn't like it. But I was so grateful to finally become like starting to know myself. Like one thing that I for sure like think is that without that awareness, there's no vehicle to get in for change. If I'm just sitting in discontent and have no idea of the source, because either I'm going to become entirely ready to surrender it, or it's something that I can actually work on myself. Like that what is it there? That stinking thinking, that stinking thinking. Guess what? I now
We.
regularly flex my gratitude muscle, and that leaves less room for stinking thinking. Like that
Ooh.
is something that I get to do. And what does that do? That makes me think less shitty things about you because there's less room in my brain for shitty things about you. And it also helps balance if maybe, I was saying negative stuff, but wasn't saying good stuff to you too. Like I don't want to be the source of anybody feeling bad about themselves, right? But the thing is that if I'm not bringing the things I'm grateful to the surface of my mind, I'm certainly not bringing them to the surface of my tongue, you know? And to me, it's so important for that love to be verbalized. It's like a smile. If you think a smile, awesome. But if you don't do it on the outside, like it's not.
If you think a smile and don't do a smile, is it really a smile? I don't think it is. I think
Oh,
it's
I
not.
think it is.
I
I
don't
think
think it
it
is.
is.
Nope.
I think it is.
Nope.
But
Nope.
the problem is, it's not a smile shared.
That's true. But like, if you don't act the smile out and you don't feel the actual movement of the smile, it's not a smile.
I've
You.
had some inner smile logs.
Ooh, we'll
My
have
inner
to have it.
smile log, sometimes just can't lift like the face that's been up for 5 days on drugs or something. But I'm smiling
I
inside.
like where you're going. I like where you're going, but we
Yeah.
might have to have like a little bonus 30-minute podcast on this episode. I don't know. I
I
don't know.
think, yeah, like a little
Like a little
breakfast like,
bonus.
while we're
Yeah,
driving.
a little cup of Joe. A little
Yeah.
30-minute cup of Joe.
But so for me, I just feel that um externalizing that love, that gratitude, all of those nice things, that brings an authenticity and balance to my relationship. Like
Hmm.
I might I might only mention the two things that you pissed me off about you today, but there might be 15 things inside that I was like, man, I'm never glad this person was like that. I'm never glad he's like this. Like, and the problem is, that's one of the things that comes up in my two-way prayer all the time is make sure you tell other people the awesomeness that you're thinking about them.
Yeah, man.
Because,
Yeah.
because the second I don't, that's probably the day that that person needs it the most.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, man.
know. Yeah. And I think
Absolutely.
that's it for me on that one.
Cool. You ready for my question?
Mm,
This is a good one. What spiritual principles help you build unity with yourself, Milan? Let's hear it.
Honesty, integrity. Like you want me to go into them too?
A little bit like we did. We
Oh,
usually
yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, just
yeah,
kind of go into the
yeah.
top three.
Okay, so I mean, if
A
I'm
good
not on,
question to end it
if
on,
I'm
right?
not honest with myself, right? If I'm not honest with myself or others, then there's two of me going on, and that's not a healthy place to be in. You know, discipline, if I don't use discipline inside my actuation of my program of me trying to do the principles, then I'm probably not acting with unity between my intention of growth and my
Mhm.
actuation of it. You know, my commitment is like my commitment keeps me from just going, not this time. You know, like not this time.
Yep.
My commitment's like, no, this time, and then this time, and then this time, and then eventually I'm just like, oh, that's how it moves. It just moves together. You know,
Mhm.
um, I would say loving completely. Like the biggest one is the biggest one because it encompasses them all. And not only that is that it's like I could act without discipline today and I still might have unity. I cannot act without love today and still have unity. So without that one, then there can be some real trouble happening inside. Like if I'm not acting loving completely or with love, then I'm probably going a little bit sideways in my recovery. And I would say, okay, let me just take a breath here. Patience.
Mhm.
You know, if I'm not having patience for myself, I'll probably start to be judging myself and not loving myself, you know?
Mhm.
Um, kindness, you know, like if I'm not acting with kindness, which I'm saying is part of love. But the thing is that, you know, I'm probably not acting in a unified way. If I'm not having acceptance, like I can't even believe I left acceptance till now.
I was
To-
waiting. I was waiting.
Tolerance and acceptance, those two together is like I have to be okay with who you are right now and not who I want you to be. And also with myself, you know, forgiveness. Forgiveness is my passport to
Oh
get
yeah.
past my
I was
previous
wondering if you're gonna hit on
disconnection.
that one. Hmm.
Yeah, and self-forgiveness. You know, forgiveness. I'm saying forgiveness, but when I say you and me, that's because I'm thinking in form of unity and we are one.
Ooh, you're a poet, didn't even know it.
Woo!
I
That's
love it.
right. And I think right now that's where I'm going to stop. But I do feel that I hold it up to the honest, pure, unselfish, and loving. And if
Yeah.
it is those, then you know I'm probably doing a good job.
Well, thank you for at least leaving one or two for me to go at. I mean, you hit on like every one. At least you left one or two for me to go at. And look, I want to take you back a little way. Let's take you back a
Yeah.
year ago on Milan.
Mhm.
Remember when we used to actually argue over love versus acceptance? Do you remember those days? It feels
Yeah,
like it was so long
I
ago.
believe it was like 11 months and 1 week ago.
I feel like it was
Not that
so
I have it in my calendar.
I feel like we were like almost like 7 years old, like kids playing in the background, arguing. It feels so long ago
Yeah.
because we're so transformed into that. Like love is limitless. It's the shiznit. All right, cool. I'm sorry. I just every time I talk about love, I fall into it. So, all right. So you hit on a lot of good things, man. Honestly, discipline, commitment, loving completely, patience, kindness, acceptance, tolerance, self forgiveness. I'm glad you hit on the forgiveness thing because I was going to roast you up if you didn't.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, honesty is a big deal. Humility is another one that keeps me unified. When I'm in ego, I get divided. You know, my mind starts saying that I have something to prove, to fix everything, to control these outcomes, and ego will separate me from that, and so it isolates me from others and even my higher power. Sometimes that ego will. What does ego stand for? Edge and got out. So
Mm.
that's exactly what it stands for, right? But humility brings me back to the center. It reminds me that I'm not God. I don't have to be. I used to be, but I don't have to be that anymore. And it reminds me that I can be wrong and it's okay. And it doesn't make me a bad person that I'm wrong and that I mess up and that I can make up for those things. And when I can admit that I don't have all those answers, it makes space for God's will to work through me, essentially. And that's ultimately my goal here. Um, it just really quiets the noise in my head and makes room for peace. That's what humility does. You know, it tells me I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. And that's a big deal in this process. We talk about integrity. You said acceptance. Go ahead.
Ooh, no. I was
Oh,
like, ooh,
oh,
yeah. No, I
um,
forgot humility.
so acceptance,
How was it being humble?
you did hit on acceptance, you hit on forgiveness, willingness. You gotta have willingness.
Ooh,
Willingness is
yes.
the spark that keeps unity alive, man. Without willingness, none of the other principles can grow, right? We
Ooh.
can't. We don't just come into NA, and because now that we're NA members on day one, we don't gain these 100 spiritual principles. We don't like have a list of them that we can put on our backpack, and now that's who we are, right? We have to have the willingness to work on ourselves to do these things, and we can have those. Um, and I have to be willing to look at myself honestly, to humble myself, and accept the truth, and to forgive people, to forgive other people. You know, willingness keeps me teachable. That goes into the humility part too that I just hit on, and it opens my heart to what my mind wants to shut down. You with me? And so, in in moments when I feel like I'm wrong, like spiritually strong, like willingness is enough. Just to be willing up to show up to a meeting, make a call, or pray with somebody. That's unity in motion for me. And so that brings my actions in line with my desire to be better and be free and live without having to use drugs, and being able to live going forward without ever having to do that anymore. You hit on love, faith. Gotta have faith. Faith holds all the principles together, man. It's the principle that ties honesty, humility, acceptance, forgiveness, willingness, and love into a continuous thread almost, if that makes sense. Like, it brings it all together. It reminds me like I'm not walking this path alone. And that means like I have the fellowship, I have my higher power today. And that, man, I was void of all of that, man. They think about what I had before this and what I have now, like it's completely changed. So when I have faith, I stop forcing outcomes and I start trusting the process. You with me? I start trusting that process with the faith, man. Gotta trust the process. I'm not catching up all the time. I had always felt like I was catching up because I wasn't good enough, and I don't have to do that anymore. I'm enough. I am enough just by showing up for myself. I have enough I'm enough, right? I'm deserved of this thing that we call recovery. So, um, it unites the old me with the new me, because my like it's like the old person body like coming to the new spiritual frontier almost, right? Like it tells me like everything I've done and everything I went through in my life has a purpose, and that I'm still becoming who I'm meant to be, and I'll continue to grow every single day if I want to, if I choose to. And as long as I don't use, like I could continue that, my new DOC, right? My new DOC, drug of choice. I get choices today, man. It's a beautiful thing. So that's it.
Woo. And now we roll into the epic zone called Lightning
Boom,
Round.
boom,
Are you
boom.
ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now, here we go. Integrity invites us to live from truth, not from reputation. How do you recognize when your motives are shifting from service to self image? Ooh.
Yeah, so self-image, it's not about what I look like, man. It's about how I feel. You know, when my feelings are in line, it's what it's about. I used to live my whole life on these exterior feelings, on these exterior things, my clothes, the way I look, and I still dress nice. I'm affiliated with a clothing brand. Let's not get it twisted. I have 50 plus shoes. Like I got lots of shoes. I'm still a problem in that, but like my insides match my outsides, right? I have beautiful insides today, I've been told, right? And I kind of, I've been on this podcast a lot. Probably over 100 episodes now, and so. Um, Y'all kind of hear what I'm about, and these guys will tell you, man, this is how I live today too, man. That's how I show up every single day for my people, man, because I know if I'm showing up for everybody else, I'm showing up for myself. And it's not about me anymore. I try to stress is like it really is not about me anymore. Everything that I've been given is a gift. This is a gift for me, this whole thing. So I try to cherish every moment and really lean into that. Love you.
I love you too. How do I recognize when my motives are shifting from service to self image? When I find I have to talk to somebody and tell them about my service, you know,
Yeah.
like it goes right to self. Like There's some times where somebody will ask me about it, and I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want it to shift from service to
Yeah.
self-image, you
Yep.
know? And even when I'm like hyping up something I'm going to do, like even helping Randy move today, felt like a weird thing to say on this podcast because
Yeah.
it was like, well, it is, but it was answering the question honestly, but did it become from service to self-image? I really hope not because I love Randy and I'm actually just, I'd be helping him move. And it's raining, okay? Like I'm fucking going out in the rain,
Happy
moving this
birthday,
shit. Yeah.
Randy.
And, but you know, like I have to look at my motives and also when I'm cherry picking my service. So I can like say I've done service, but it's not the service that they need.
Ready?
Okay. You got a question?
Yep.
Yes.
Right. How
Okay.
has practicing integrity strengthened your recovery?
You know, practicing integrity has allowed me to gain some self esteem. And to a person that really was hating himself when he first came in here, you know, being, you know, like good old Jim, but you know, you want to self-esteem, do esteemable things, and I truly think that acting with integrity is one of those things that can give me my soul back, where I felt like I, you know. Was either in a pity party about who I was, or didn't have forgiveness, or hated who I was, and acting with integrity allows me to look at that person in the mirror and be happy about who I'm becoming.
Love that. Love you,
Yeah,
man.
love you too.
So, how has practicing integrity strengthened my recovery? Well, for me, it's been the bridge between my like who I was in addiction and who I start my timer, please. Thank you. Control issues. It's what takes my spiritual principles out of theory and puts them into motion for me. When I practice integrity, what I'm saying is I choose to live in truth even when it costs me. Even and especially when nobody's watching. That's my new thing. Like especially when nobody's watching, not just when nobody's watching, but especially when nobody's watching. I try to go out of my way to do the right thing. And so that choice repeated over and over has strengthened my recovery in ways I couldn't imagine. In my relationship with myself, right? I didn't have integrity. I couldn't imagine that, right? And now what living with integrity does for me is it creates an internal separation from that person that I was. And so because that old person that I was destroys unity, and I'm not anymore at war with my conscience anymore, man. I'm not at war with that person, that internal person anymore. And that's a hell of a battle to fight, bro. So love you.
Woo! Okay, so Andrew, the big book suggests that spiritual progress is not measured by words, but by transformation. What inner transformation has shown you that integrity is becoming a way of life?
What was the last part of it? What spiritual?
What inner transformation has shown you that integrity is becoming a way of life?
Integrity is how I show my higher power, bro. Like I'm serious. It's how I show them I'm in the game. I'm actually here. It's how I actually live by what I'm talking about. When I choose to do the right thing, not just because it's easy, because I'll be praised, but because it's the right thing. It's how I align with my higher purpose. And when I practice that integrity, I can feel God working through me every time. I can't put a label on the feeling. I just know it's God working through me. And I cannot manipulate what God can orchestrate. Right.
Woo!
Right. And if you want to make God laugh, make plans. Go ahead, make those plans. If you want to make him
Yeah.
chuckle. So I don't do that anymore, man. I try to take me out of the situation every single time. Even when he's feeding me breakfast. He'll feed me that good breakfast, man. Think I'm gonna eat it. But I got that shit licked, man. I love you.
I
I'm
love you
done.
too. Okay, so what inner transformation has shown me that integrity is becoming a way of life? You know, through this process of surrender, right before that, I was experiencing a high level of anxiety about impending financial demise.
Mm-hmm.
And what, that ability to have surrendered that and replace that with gratitude, that inner transformation of building gratitude and surrender has shown me that, like that I am actually living these principles, because that anxiety, that fear, that stress has been relieved like 90% of the time. I forgot to put on the timer, but I'm done actually what I was saying anyway.
I love you,
Okay,
man.
you got another question?
I don't. I thought we were done.
Okay,
My bad.
okay, I got one more. I got
Okay.
one more here. Okay. So, loving completely dissolves the illusion of separation between us and others and within ourselves. How has love healed the fractured parts of your identity that once felt irreconcilable? How has love healed the fractured parts of your identity that once felt irreconcilable?
Wow. Well, I used to hate the parts of me that would make mistakes, man. I used to shame myself for having defects, and still being resentful and not feeling spiritually enough. But the more I work on these steps, the more I find love, the more I tap into to my fellowship and you guys, man. I get my cup that filleth runneth over on the love, man. I am a love beast, and love has allowed me to soften all edges, all my corners, all my rough edges going into these situations in service and all these other things that I'm tackling. Like love softens all entry points, man. And so it also allows me to maintain stability in that situation too. So love you guys, man. Love you, man. Don't lose. Try it. Powerful drug in the world.
Okay, how has love healed the fractured parts of my identity that once felt irreconcilable? You know, I remember saying to somebody near the end of my addiction, I was like, I am broken. So this question talking about fractured parts of my identity, like there was the intention Milan and there was the delivery Milan, and it generally was coming in on a disappointing level to me and to others. And I didn't know if I'd ever be able to respect or love that person again after everything that had gone on. And that process is still a work in process, but at least now I feel that I'm entirely ready for that process to happen. My higher power is going to deliver that on its time, but at least I'm aware of what it is that I'm needing to heal for myself. And I have surrendered that to my higher power, and it's time. And that's that, man. What a great episode today,
It was
brother.
beautiful, man. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Any final words before we roll?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to hit you with a couple acronyms on the way out. Now, act. So now we must act wise, right? What does now stand for? No opportunities wasted. New order within. What does ACT stand for? Always choose truth. Action changes things. What does WISE stand for? Walk in spiritual alignment. Wisdom in spiritual experience. Come on, play over.
I love that. And everybody out there, thank you for being part of this amazing journey. Thank you for
Love you guys,
helping us
man.
pass 6,000 downloads. Like whoever would have
Like and
thought at the
subscribe.
beginning of this. We had a weird thing. Last Thursday, all of a sudden, there was 227 that day. Last Thursday was a very anomalous day. So keep it up, people, because we love
Hell
you.
yeah. Like and
Everybody out there,
subscribe. Love you.
tune in next episode for more recovery fun.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye. I love you. Please help us help others. If you'd like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.